You read the title, you know what it's about. LA versus Queasy. Give my opinion, you know what I mean? I never done a video where I judge two guys in a debate or so forth. Or I like to call it, two guys arguing. But both these gentlemen, Queasy and LA had both inserted themselves in conflicts that that had nothing to do with them. But I'm gonna give my analysis on the situation. First of all, I like to say that I'm not a fan of Queasy's. Most people know I wouldn't say he said anything that offended me and so forth. I just find his videos monotonous. They don't spark my interest. And people know that I'm not a fan of the greater men, as they say, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But at least Queasy did a fairly decent job at attacking the points. People have, hurled insults about him, or stated things, and he debunked them. I put an effort to do so. I bid a lot of, the bitch ass niggers and name calling, but hence, when people threw insults his way and so forth. So, it was just too much of that, resorting to bitch ass niggers and calling people, monkeys and so forth. But still, it's, I guess it's what people want to see, because, the people in this corner, talk about, logic, but, they want to see, people go at it, excuse for a lack of a better term. Now, I would say that this corner, and I'm not putting, Queasy and this corner, I would say the side of the ring, the anti-Tommy Sotomayor guys and so forth. That corner has become dilapidated and so forth. The whole team mentality, the whole fucking you had my back and so forth. And I noticed about the greater men. Now, I don't know if Queasy likes being tossed in the same category as Brainless Tommy and David Carl and so forth, but people always address them as like this is a group and so forth. At least the greater men stand on their own and so forth. Yeah, there's times when Queasy has came to Tommy's aid, but they, for the most part, they pretty much stand their ground. Either they address people. They don't rely on, hey, are you going to back me up and so on, this forth. I'm like, yeah, this is, pretty much YouTube. If you rely on somebody if you need someone to back you up and so forth, then, you don't need to be making videos and so forth, or making videos where you want to debate or come at people and then retract and be like, oh, why didn't you back me up? I need back me up against one guy, especially when the guy that you're going at is not relying on anybody to back them up. Of course, people have their fans, and their fans are going to back them up, and so forth. I'm just going to look at things from a from a logical perspective. Now, talking about LA. Now, there's no way I can ride for LA. There's no way I can malign himself or root him on. I'm like, LA is somebody who's constantly made cat calls at me. He constantly tried to berate me. He made all sorts of ad hominem attacks. I'm like, he stated that, I'm ugly. He's called me a bitch. He said that I'm not really that. So I'm like, just stupid stuff, But engaging in some sort of debate with LA is pointless, because he'll never say that he lost. He'll never say, or you got me, you probably debunked. I'm like, he's somebody with virtually no direction. I'm like, seeing him, I'm like, when he started off at YouTube, he was making rap videos. He was making prank phone call videos and so forth. And he wants to cook people and so forth. And then he wants to all of a suddenly be intellectual. I'm like, LA is someone who constantly uses words in the wrong context. He constantly mispronounce words. And then when you try to correct him on his flaws, he'll say stupid rhetoric like, oh, well, where does where does words come from and so forth. Oh, I can make up new words and this and that. You know what I'm saying? He will never acknowledge his own ignorance and so forth. But yet, when I see him, when he makes a video against Reef, you know what I'm saying? He poked fun at Reef because Reef mispronounced the word. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? You know, and LA's video, you know, one of his videos when he went against Tommy Sotomayor, you know, and he says, I sunk you that video. I sunk you that video. No, it's not sunked. It's sent. I sent you that video, or I didn't send you a video. He mixed sent and he says sunk. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, the things he says are grammatical atrocities. But, you know what I'm saying, you can't call him out on it because, you know, when I did on my video, you know, when I made statements on my videos towards him, he called me a dick sucker. He said I'm jealous, called me a bitch and so forth. I'm like, dude, man, I'm just pointing out something. But yet, you know, when he has the chance to try to point somebody out, you know what I'm saying, on their flaws, you know what I'm saying, he's real quick to do it. He's somebody who literally, he will try to break somebody down or so per se, but hence he can't take criticism, you know what I'm saying, coming his way. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't understand the concept of collateral damage. You know what I'm saying? If you launch out of an attack, it may leave you open for an attack and so forth. And no, LA does not know how to put together a proper debate, you know, and so forth. Hence, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? LA's video was an over 15-minute long diatribe on how he gets pussy, because that's what he resorts to. That's his claim to fame. You know, I'm like, just you know what I'm saying, on the outside looking in, I'll assume that Hypocrisy doesn't have a hard time getting women. Just looking at, you know what I'm saying, the females blowing on virtual kisses in his comment section. Now, I'm not bragging on Hypocrisy or jumping on Hypocrisy's side, but hence, on all the times has LA has ridiculed me and tried to humiliate me. There's no possible way, you know what I mean, since I don't like Hypocrisy, I'm going to malign myself with LA. You know what I'm saying? That's not happening. But hence, this is not about who gets the most pussy and so, and that's what LA, he's going to result to that whole high school shit. Oh, I get more pussy than you, I got females bringing me stacks and so forth, which he cannot prove any of this and so forth. We only see him with one female. Hence, I've seen Tommy Sotomayor with multiple females. Not saying they all look good, but hence, Tommy Sotomayor, even though every now and then he talks about the pussy he gets, he doesn't, you know what I'm saying, he doesn't wear it like a badge of honor. He doesn't, you know, as LA, he used that as a crush. Like, you niggas are mad at me because I got females bringing him stacks. But hence, he can't prove it. LA is somebody that will throw a brick at you. And then you look and you, and then you confront him and say, hey, why'd you do that? And LA will be like, you're mad at all the bitches that I have. I'm like, no. I'm frustrated with you because you threw a brick at me. It has nothing to do with the bitches. Hence, LA tossed a brick at Hypocrisy and so forth. He started it, and now he want to retract and say, oh, you motherfuckers are jealous because I'm a pimp and all this. LA represents everything wrong with the so-called black commonwealth and so forth. His mentality is not unique. He says, I'm on a whole different level than y'all niggas. You can't understand my lifestyle and so forth. You know what I mean? I have a cousin. Now, first of all, if you're black in America, you most likely have some sort of cousin that is very much like LA. I'm like, he's not unique for the least bit. I'm like, I have a cousin, Mo Thug, I'll say his name. And I wasn't visiting him, I was visiting my aunt. And he's a distant cousin, you know what I'm saying, lived in Kentucky and so forth. I got family scattered throughout. And when I visited my aunt, you know, this dude had 3 baby mothers and he still stayed at home. He had 3 baby mothers. 2 of the baby mothers were sitting right next to each other on the couch. So that's impressive. And from what I remember or what I recall, these baby mothers, you know, they were somewhat you know, attractive and so forth. But do I do I have admiration for my cousin Mo Thug's lifestyle? No. He's a grown man with a ridiculous ass name with gold grill in his mouth. And yeah, he has 3 baby mothers and he still lives at home. That's not impressive. But hence, I don't think my cousin Mo Thug would ever get on YouTube and claim to be some sort of intellectual and so forth. LA's logic is so flawed. As I said, we don't know what direction he wants to go in. Now he's a good debater. Now he wants to be intellectual. These overnight intellectuals, these scratch and sniff intellectuals, just add water. You know what I'm saying? LA, I'm like, somebody just sit down and watch his video. I'm like, he said absolutely nothing. And the sad part, you have females co-signing. You know, the reason why this corner of YouTube, the anti-Tommy Sotomayor, so forth corner of YouTube, has become so decadent because people will rally around anybody that goes against people they don't like. Like, let's say you have Tom. You don't like Tom, and let's say Fred is going against Tom. You know what I mean? People aren't going to question Fred's ethics. They say, oh, he's going against Tom. Let's say Fred is a maniacal madman, that he walks around with a fucking Chuck E. Cheese outfit on. He's foaming at the mouth. You know what I'm saying? It's obviously something's wrong with him. And I'm not saying LA is foaming at the mouth, but hence, I'm just trying to make a point here. I'm trying to make an analogy that obviously there's something wrong with Fred. You know, he's messed up. He's foaming at the mouth. You know what I'm saying? He looked like somebody that desperately needs a tetanus shot. You know, and he's like, I'm going to roast him. You know, I'm going to roast Tommy Sotomayor. You know, people around like, yeah, you go, Fred, and thumb him up. Nobody has sit down and say, hey, I don't like this guy here, Tom, but let's recognize that Fred is a raving fucking lunatic, you know what I mean, that belongs in some sort of mental institution. But hence, they want to go against somebody. So hence, nobody questioned LA's ethics and the fact that LA cannot put together a proper debate. But LA is so stupid, he can't realize that. You know what I mean? He's just somebody that wants to appear smart. You know what I'm saying? And you may look at this that, oh, I'm ragging on LA. Hell yeah, I'm ragging on LA, because many times when I've made my videos, when I've made my dissertations and so forth, when I'm not bothering LA, I'm not say anything about LA. LA have constantly critiqued me, insult me, you know what I'm saying, talked about the way I make my video, because I reference certain books and I quote certain authors and poets and this and that, and LA said, well, I don't need real books, I go off real life experience. I'm like, dude, do you? That's the reason why you make your videos. That's how you make your videos. But don't fucking critique me on how I make my videos. That's why I had to come out with Hellraiser's Revenge, where I have stated that you know, that this and that. When people do their psychoanalysis of me, you know, they've called me a simp. And these black females don't understand when the dudes they rally upon constantly insult me, saying I don't get pussy and so forth, that they're insulting them. But hence, I don't even think that I'm questioning their mental capacity as well, to not know how to properly observe statements and words. But, you know, LA has constantly insulted me, saying, oh, you read books and this and that, called me a geek, called me a nerd, don't get no pussy, simp, and so forth, when I'm not even bothering him, and this and that. So, and he puts together, just, when he tries to break down knowledge, I'm like, it's silly. It's like seeing a kid who's at the shallow end of the swimming pool go over, try to go and swim on the deep end, and he can't handle it, and he has to doggy paddle when he should have stayed on the shallow end of the swimming pool. Hence, I used to do that when I was a kid, and so forth. But hence, in LA's video against the Queasy, now I would say he had one point when Queasy was talking about his cooking, said all you want to do is cook and cook and cook, and LA said, well, you know what I'm saying, you don't talk about Tommy when he ethers. He has a point. And also, Queasy has fell in that trap, because Queasy bigged up LA when LA was doing all the cooking, but LA was cooking people that Queasy didn't like. Hence, Queasy did not judge LA's moral. LA was going against somebody he didn't like, so therefore in a video Queasy gave LA props and this and that, you know, and Queasy must have known who LA was, a dude who didn't work and so forth, and you know what I'm saying, represent the low end of the black commonwealth, and now Queasy wants to use that against him. But hence, this is what Queasy had to have known about him when Queasy was bigging him up. But hence, since Queasy didn't like the Lou in LA, was going against the Goo and so forth. So hence, that's one point for LA. But hence, LA made these assertions on the Queasy. Stating that Queasy talks white, he acts white, and like this is ridiculous. It reminds me of that scene in School Days, you know, where the Kentucky Fried Chicken, where I'll consider them stationary Negroes, those comfortable Negroes, was insulting those college kids, saying you're a nigger just like us, you're, or, you know, this and that. Really, literally that crab in the barrel mentality, which I don't like to use because it's just cliches and so forth. Hence, how are you going to get mad at somebody for being able to properly punctuate words and this and that, and then you insult and say this stuff about dignified English and this and that? I'm like, LA, has you ever tried to learn any other language, you know what I'm saying, in African language and so forth? So hence, if you only know one language, which I'm not saying that Queasy only knows one language and so forth, why not try to be good at it? You know, I'm like, when you think of the black men that are doing stuff, Randall Riverson, Ivan Van Sertima, God bless his soul, Jay Rogers and so forth, Dr. Hendricks Clark, do they use proper English? You know what I'm saying? Do they have an extensive vocabulary? Yeah. Dr. Umar, yes, they do. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Africa and so forth. So how can you insult somebody for, you know what I'm saying, speaking, you know what I'm saying, the proper way, using correct grammar, you know, and say they're a house sellout or a house Negro, they grew up around white people, where you can pretty much say that same thing about Malcolm X and say, oh yeah, Malcolm X is an Oreo because he talks a certain way. That, you know, if LA accused Queasy for being white, talking white, which that is just a ridiculous, out of date type of insult and so forth. You know, you're trying to be white, you want to be white, and this and that, so forth. And you know, and LA stated something about Queasy, that Queasy was making, you know what I'm saying, racist remarks, or some of the type of remarks white people say against black people, which he kind of has a point, but I think Queasy imitates David Carl too much, and that's the reason why I can't, I never subbed to his channel, because he just sounds like David Carl's little brother. So I think, but LA said, talk about Queasy, that Queasy called him a coon, but LA has called me a coon in one of his videos. So hence, yeah, that's that there completely collapsed. But still, even if Queasy was talking white, you know what I'm saying, and I was in LA shoe and I was debating Queasy, and I made that, you know what I'm saying, that ridiculous primitive cliche, oh, you talk like a white boy, you a white boy, and this and that, you grew up around white people and this and that. That wouldn't be the point. I'll you know what I'm saying, when I begin to, you know, painless, and I would say that, hey, yeah, you're a bootlicker for the white man, but still, I'm going to still break down your argument and so forth. Or, you know, you said this sentence, you know what I'm saying, and watch me dismantle it and this and that. Like, for instance, here's how you do it. You know, take notes. There was a white dude, you know, that said, was, you know, I got into it. He was talking about the white man invented the computer and this and that. So I could have just called him and he's like, you're a fucking racist, and kept it moving. But I question him. I'm like, okay, say a white man invented the computer. What white man invented the computer? You know, what was his name? What date was the computer invented? Also, who broke the Enigma code? Do you know his name? This white dude had no answer. But I broke down to him. I said the concept of our modern computers, no one person invented it. It was an evolution. It was a progress that went on. And guess what? You know, and you can do the research yourself. It started with black people in Egypt with the Sumerian abacus. Look that up, which is even coined by, you know what I'm saying, scholars as technically the first prototype for a computer You know, when I told this white dude, I blew his mind. I could have just called him a racist, but I broke it down. And I constantly, you know, these are the type of videos that I make and so forth. I constantly make reference to authors and talk about books I've read. I even show you pictures like, hey, you don't have to take my word for it. You can watch this documentary because this is where I got my information from. Hence, this was how I debate. This is how I was trained and so forth. But I understand this is YouTube. You don't have to be so technical and so forth. But LA's rhetoric falls short of a debate. It just goes into him like, y'all bitches ain't on my level. And so I'm like, he represents every fucking horrible stereotype and so forth. And you know, but though there's no way I can, you know what I'm saying, co-sign LA, even though Aqueezy's saying monkey and all this other stuff. I'm like, look what LA represents. LA is the type of dude that insults people if they use correct grammar. And so when LA said he was one of the smartest people in this corner of YouTube, I'm like, that was laughable. You know, if I was drinking some sort of coffee or hot substance at that time, I would have spewed it out and burnt myself. You know, I'm like, there's nothing you can possibly learn from LA's videos. LA does not have any type of videos where he's talking about Africa or, you know, what we once were when, you know, before we got caught up in the North American slave trade. He doesn't. As I said, he's one of those scratch and sniff intellectuals. You know what I'm saying? He's only smart because he says he's smart and so forth. Now, I would never get on YouTube and say that, oh, I'm the smartest guy in this corner of YouTube. No, you know what I mean? I don't think that highly of my intellect. So, hence, if LA states that, I'm like, deep down, he has to be a lonely little boy. You know what I'm saying? He has to convince himself and others that he's actually smart and so forth. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. But hence, I'm going to tell you the part that I was completely appalled at. And I think that all those that have thumbs up LA and rally behind LA deserve to be bit by a raccoon with rabies. The fact that LA is talking about all this bitch shit and pimp shit, and I got hoes, and that you have to understand, this dude is a father. This dude has little girls, and for him to talk about females like they're a domesticated animal, and these so-called black females, these strong black females can't pick that up. That, as I stated before, that if you don't like somebody, you rather around somebody else, even and not question his ethics. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, LA, you know what I'm saying, cannot get mad at Tommy for bashing black women, but LA does. I don't think LA can comprehend or realize what he's fucking saying. That's why maybe later on when he watches his videos, he delete a lot of his videos. He said, because maybe he realized, like, oh wow, I'm sounding like a moron. I'm sounding like a hypocrite in this video and so forth. So hence, for a man, you know what I mean, for black females, these same black females that claim strong. Now, as I admit, I was pretty flustered with Freddy Krueger when he was going at certain black females hard. I'm saying, okay, Freddy, you made your point, this and that. This is becoming a little excessive and so forth. But now I understand where Freddy's coming from. That, yeah, these black, and you know, everybody knows in my videos I've bigged up black women. But I'm going to realize now that the black women I'm bigging up are daddy's little girl. You know, and you know what I mean by daddy's little girl. You know what I'm saying? The black female I talked about before I lost my virginity to. You know, she was an army brat just like me. And, yeah, her father was a high-ranking military official. And when he went on a field exercise or whatever, that's the only time I could, you know, sneak in and so forth. So, matter of fact, I'm beginning to differentiate. You know what I'm saying? Understand the black females I'm bigging up to certain black females that are weak-minded. Hence, there was no reason for a black female claiming to be intelligent or whatever to big up LA and be like, hey man, I cannot co-sign this. Hence, if my sisters was to watch LA's video and seen the way he talked about black women, they were like, man, this is disgusting. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure my sisters will jump on Aqueezy's side because Aqueezy's not making a lot more sense, and Aqueezy's not referring to females as bitches. I got bitches that bring me stacks. Since LA is somebody who is a father. You know what I'm saying? But people on the anti-Tommy Sotomayor side, as I said, they've become so weak-minded. You know what I mean? And I'm like, just like, Tyrone Thompson is bigging up LA. As many times as LA has insulted him. And I guess these people get amnesia that, next week LA can go right back to cooking Tyrone Thompson. But hence I don't know who the and people have called me the weak one and so forth. But this is complete madness. LA is insulting our intelligence by claiming that, I've only big Queasy up and all these guys up to get close to him. I played these niggas. If you guys so smart, why don't you figure this out? I'm like, stupid. I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, that's like me saying, well, I only joined Monty, the wood grain team, so I can get close to Monty and so forth. No, my subscribers would be like, nigger, please. I'm like, I wouldn't insult anybody's intellect like that and so forth. I'm like, LA is just simply wishy-washy. No, I do not believe that he did that. And still, what is this fucking espionage, spy versus spy? He's getting close to somebody like he was at their table and ate dinner with them and learned their secrets. No, it's fucking YouTube. You don't like somebody, make a rebuttal against them. You ain't getting close to no one. LA has got about as close to a Queasy and Tommy as I have through a goddamn fucking computer screen and so forth. I'm like, come on, man. Dude, I'm like, please. But that's all I want to say about this. Thanks for watching and sorry for